My boy Blueberry weighs 66 pounds. I want to see if I could add 10 pounds of muscle within 30 days. Now, real quick, let me jump in and break down how dogs build muscle. Dogs, unlike human beings, do not need carbs to be able to build muscle. Instead, what dogs need is protein and leucine. Before I tell you the type of protein and leucine and how we're going to get it and put it together, let me break down the 4 pathways that are going to consist on building muscle and strengthen your dog. So if you've ever done bodybuilding or weightlifting or whatnot, you're going to understand this term. It's none other than mTOR. So what does mTOR do? mTOR is what actually changes the protein the dog is eating into muscle that the dog will have. This is important because you need to understand what triggers this. And the main trigger is leucine. You're probably asking, okay, but what is leucine? Leucine is an amino acid. It plays a key role in protein synthesis, muscle building, and repair, and is found in foods like meat, fish, milk, and even soybeans. So leucine is the trigger that gets mTOR going, and mTOR is pretty much the bricklayer of grabbing the protein and making it into muscle. The next pathway that is really important is the IGF-1. What does this do? What it does basically is it regulates how thick the muscle fibers that mTOR is going to be laying are going to be. So basically the IGF-1 is going to be supplying the bricks that mTOR is going to be placing on top of your muscles. So what triggers the IGF-1? What actually gets it going? And that's going to be total protein and B vitamins. So you got to have a high protein amount and high B vitamins to be able to turn that into either thicker or more coarse muscle fibers that mTOR is going to be placing layer upon layer. The next pathway is testosterone surge. Part of the reason I'm doing this challenge is not only to put muscle on my dog, but definitely to have his testosterone surge because we got a lot of breedings coming up. So what triggers testosterone? Well, testosterone comes from... This is Raul. Okay, thank you. So what's testosterone's main triggers? It's going to be fat in the food that they're eating and zinc. So if you have a dog that you've made it gain muscle and it's not necessarily getting stronger, you might want to take a look at the amount of zinc that you're feeding. But the last pathway that we're going to talk about, it's not really a pathway that's trying to help your dog gain muscle or strength. In fact, it's a loop back pathway that actually breaks the muscles down. And I'm talking about none other than myostatin. And if you have a static dog that's not doing much of anything, then myostatin is going to be the culprit in breaking those muscles back down. However, we're going to be doing a myostatin block. I'm going to show you guys how to block myostatin easily. This way your dog doesn't lose the gains it actually was able to get. We'll be talking about that further down in the video, but right now I want to give you the 5 ingredients that we're going to be working with and what it is that they're going to be doing. The first ingredient that we're going to be giving our dog is going to be none other than ground beef, preferably 80-20. So ground beef is high in leucine. Remember I said leucine triggers mTOR. Don't forget that. But it's also high in zinc. And zinc is also going to help raise the testosterone levels. The next ingredient is going to be chicken. And chicken brings along vitamin B6, which is going to help with protein synthesis, the making of protein, so that mTOR over here can lay down the bricks of muscles on your dog's body. Next up, we have the golden goo from the Q. I'll be leaving a link either down in the description or at the very end of this video if you want to see how it is that we make it. I will tell you quickly what the ingredients are. It's got coconut oil, turmeric, ginger, garlic, and black pepper. You're probably wondering, why am I even giving this? I'm giving it because it's a super anti-inflammatory. Remember I spoke about the myostatin block? This is the first part of it. Goo from the Q alone is going to reduce inflammation by 40%. The next ingredient we're going to be using is going to be
1 egg
per feed. That gives us 3 grams of perfectly useful protein and an increase of 6 milligrams of zinc, which is going to help increase testosterone. It also has choline, which serves as a liver detox. Not that the dog needs it, but it's there. Now let me get into the amounts so you know exactly what it is that we're shooting for. So because I want to increase muscle on my dog, I'm shooting for 1.5 grams of protein per the body weight I want. So don't put the body weight your dog currently has. For example, my boy Blueberry has 66 pounds. Don't put that there. Put 76 pounds because that's what you're shooting for. The next ingredient is actually 2 ingredients in one, none other than Nuvet and NuJoint DS. Nuvet brings 10 milligrams of zinc per wafer, increasing testosterone by an additional 12 to 18%. It also brings B vitamins, which is going to increase your IGF-1. Remember, they're the ones that are recruiting the muscle fibers, whether they're going to be coarse, how thick they're going to be, and so on. It's actually going to increase that by 25%. Now, NuJoint DS, the blue bottle, the reason it's so important is because we're going to be increasing the weight on our dog in a short amount of time. Therefore, there's going to be stress on the joints. If you're going to be doing this exactly how I'm doing it, you need to make sure you have either NuVet NuJoint on board or some supplement that's going to give you joint support. Each wafer in NuJoint DS brings 250 milligrams of glucosamine. Based on his weight, he's actually going to be getting 3 wafers, which means he's going to be getting 750 milligrams of glucosamine daily, which is more than enough to be able to sustain the joints from where he's at now all the way up to where we're trying to get him. Remember I said myostatin is that loop back system where it stops the muscle from growing and getting any bigger due to inflammation. Well, MSM in NuJoint DS actually reduces myostatin by 18%. That's key for your dog to maintain the gains that they've been able to get. The way we're going to do it is like this. At 7 in the morning, I'm going to be feeding 8 ounces of beef, 6 ounces of chicken, 1 tablespoon of the goo. We're going to be feeding Nuvet and NuJoint DS and 1 raw egg. So at 7 o'clock at night, we're going to make a slight change. So I'm going to go ahead and feed the 8 ounces of beef, 6 ounces of chicken, 1 tablespoon of the goo. We're not feeding NuVet or NuJoint DS, and we are feeding 1 more raw egg and 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese. But wait, I didn't say that earlier. I know. This is for the people that like to skip around. I want them to miss this pertinent part of the information because casein protein will actually make muscle fibers that are resistant to catabolic breakdown. But you wouldn't know it if you skip this part. Let's continue into the myostatin block I promised you earlier in the video. I've already given you some hints here and there. I'm going to tell you exactly how to maximize the block. First thing you need to be able to block it is you need to get the dog to sprint. Now, you need to be very mindful of the weather. If it's warm outside, you don't want your dog running around, end up getting a heat stroke. But if you could get yourself a flirt pole and have them run around for a good 5 minutes, that's pretty much all you're going to need. Now, if your weather is that cool and your dog has that much resistance and you can go on for 10, then go ahead and go on for 10 minutes. A study was done by JAFMA in 2022. They had sled dogs sprint, and they found that myostatin was reduced by 38%. Here's the other part on how to maximize the myostatin block. Vet Science magazine in 2022 did a study with 40 dogs. They actually gave these dogs 400 milligrams of MSM, and they found that there was a 22% muscle gain in the dogs. This is how they were able to figure out that it actually blocks myostatin. Just in case you're wondering, NuJoint DS has 250 milligrams of MSM per wafer. So if your dog is weighing, say, 25 to 49 pounds, you're going to be getting 2 wafers, which is going to up this study's amount by 100 milligrams. Now, when you couple that with the study done by Vet Science magazine as well in 2022, that curcumin or turmeric reduces inflammation by 40%. Black pepper makes the absorption of turmeric 2,000 times more possible. But it doesn't stop there. Coconut oil, apart from being a yeast killer, also gives the dog instant energy. Now, there's something called gingerol inside of ginger. And just giving ginger alone after 14 days reduces inflammation by 18%, as per VetMed International study in 2021. But wait, you know I got more. So garlic is something we always feed our dogs. We feed 1 clove per 100 pounds of dog. In my boy Blueberry's case, we're going to be giving him 2/3 of a clove since he's weighing 66 pounds. Guys, don't forget, if you're going to be feeding garlic, you got to crush it. You got to let Alan react with the air and become Allison, which is actually good for the dogs. That's where the anti-inflammatory properties at And then you're able to give it to the dog after a good 10 minutes of it reacting with the air. Let me say this. Garlic will actually reduce inflammation by 28%. It will increase recovery speeds by 35%. These two last ones are big. It increases protein absorption by 22%, and it increases the IGF-1 response by 18%. Oh, this is not me saying it. I challenge you to add 10 pounds of pure muscle onto your dog. For the coming month, we're going to be dropping shorts showing you his progress. Today is November 7th, 2025. We will be dropping a video in December 7th, 2025, showing you if our dog was able to hit the 10-pound mark of pure muscle added in just 30 days. Make sure to tune in, and I'll be catching you on either one of these two places.